Hey, what's up, guys? We are back. It's another Wednesday at the HPR Chronicles Podcast with Shakur Smith. As I adjust my mic a little bit, mic check, mic check. How's everybody doing out there in the world?
You sound good here.
In this pandemic, social justice movement world, how are we doing out there, world? Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on YouTube and catching last week's show. You know, why we should stop calling ourselves Black. It was a good show, got a lot of great comments. I actually responded to some of your comments out there. Hopefully we were able to share some insight on where that word and stuff came from. If you're joining us for the first time, we're a podcast about politics, history, and race from a swag perspective. We current affairs. Today we're going to cover current affairs. I am a filmmaker from Trinidad and Tobago, and I am Shakur. Travel a lot. Love to travel. This is Smith. He's a veteran of the Army Reserves, and he currently works for the VA.
Yep.
And he has a passion for the same. We always like to say we're about truth. We're not pro any race, just pro truth. If the truth offends you, we're sorry, not sorry. And that's what we say. That's what we go by and stand by. It's funny, Smith, on my way to downtown LA yesterday, I let my daughter listen to our podcast because Lisa was saying how she listened to it and how it was so insightful, and she wants to retrain herself from calling herself and, you know, her friends and family as black anymore. Mm-hmm. So it was such a great history lesson for my daughter. It was very insightful for her to learn where that term came from. Yeah. It was really, really good. She had a lot of questions, you know, so I recommend if you have kids out there, teenagers and stuff like that, it's a really good episode. If they happen to be African American, it's a really great episode on why we should not call ourselves Black. In the same show, Smith and I got into a little debate about, you know, changing our names and learning where we're from and all that kind of stuff. And so that's also some good information. You can share your opinion on that. But anyway, today we're just going to cover some current affairs, man. Some crazy stuff's been going on. Mm-hmm. Talking about blackness and African American and slavery and social justice. I love how everybody, you know, have been tearing these statues and monuments down. Yeah. And so that's the first thing I'd like to touch on.
Which we did a podcast on.
We did.
Why the monuments were put up.
We sure did. That's right. And I need to go back and listen to that show. And this one brother in Baton Rouge, you know, at that town council meeting, how he went off on the one lady.
Oh, yes.
To me, there's no better explanation but that. And like he said, why don't you name it after people that's done some positive things?
Right.
Why should it be named after these negative things that happened in history? Why do we want to symbolize that and create these memories from that when it was wrong and unjust the way they, you know?
And I've just on that same topic on a friend of mine posted something on Facebook, and people started discussing and just like, why do they need to be removed? They're supposed to be history lessons for people, and because they're there, people are going to stop and talk about it or whatever. And a lot of people commented back going, no, those statues, if you want to have them somewhere, then they should be in a museum of some sort, but they shouldn't just be out in front of like public buildings
and named after schools.
Yes. And so it's just crazy, but it's also like a new awakening. I think almost I feel even the stuff I knew, I'm learning way more during this time period just because people are sharing so much information via social media.
Yep.
And this is stuff you can actually verify when someone does send it to you. You know, I never just take something off of face value. I always do some research.
Research, yeah.
But yeah, just how is having a Robert E. Lee statue, like, in front of City Hall helping anyone discuss what he did? No, that makes him look like as if what he did was a hero.
Exactly. Because I was going to say, why does it have to be a statue if it wasn't in a museum? You know what I mean?
And how the Daughters of Confederacy were the ones who purchased majority of those monuments. Like over 600 monuments were done after 1930 or something like that. So it was, again, in the episode, I kind of just said, I think I said before, it was a blatant way of just keeping Black African Americans who were enslaved understanding where they are in, after Reconstruction was going on. And that, I think, again, we discussed that on a podcast and how that possibly would have continued. We wouldn't have the issues we do today. You'd have more people thinking very similar attitudes, like that, whatever that group is, and let's just say they're poor, disenfranchised, and whether they were whatever their color was, and they were protesting about something, if they actually did lead to rioting, everybody would agree. I mean, most people agree that rioting is not the right thing to do, but I'm not going to, again, like I said, I'm not going to tell someone how to protest.
Right.
When you're frustrated, and in the end, it's not just that, if people should have seen, that it's not just Black people that were doing the looting or destroying any property.
Exactly.
And in some examples, you had Black people trying to stop white people from doing so. So, and we discussed that enough, I think. But just that, the statues. It's interesting hearing people defend it, because I'm like,
how are you defending that? I mean, I love in Washington the way they went and started taking down the one from Jefferson and got into a fight with the police and stuff.
Yeah,
all that stuff needs to be taken down, and I'm glad that now it's become a national conversation. Yeah. Like, hey, this stuff needs to go. And the ones that they're actually voluntarily taking them down now before they're like vandalized, which is great.
Yeah.
Or move all that stuff.
Yeah. Or they would try to vote, but now they're just getting rid of it.
Now they're just getting rid of it
in the middle of the night, which I think is a great thing. Yeah. Get it done. And new thing, and just speaking on that whole type of level and changing is, I look and I see the thing that said Rhode Island's changing their name, and I'm like, how's Rhode Island the state? But it's called the State of Rhode Island and
the Providence of Rhode
Plantation.
Island. Yeah. Oh, serious?
Yes.
Wow. So that's why they're changing their name?
So, they're going to drop that and just be Rhode Island.
Wow.
Which, that's a huge thing. But at the same time, it's being voted on.
Yeah.
I think, or is he going to make use executive power, something. Order, executive order. But, it's that right there, again, made me realize how ingrained racism was put into the fabric of the government. I mean, and just it's part of it, and no one really realized. I mean, I'm sorry, white people most of the time just don't realize it because it never affected them. It was never in their face. They, you might hear something, but when you did, you either turned off TV or walk away. I mean,
it's just amazing, man. How all of a sudden all this stuff is happening, and people in America are finally starting to get it. And if it wasn't for the other races joining forces with us, it would have never happened. And we always knew that it took everybody, because it's everybody's problem.
Correct.
And I wish our friend with the gazebo, with the pool that lives in wine country, was still hanging. I saw that look on your face. Was still hanging out with this, because we would get into these conversations and we could further explain to him why this is happening. And what I'm saying? Because how he would always say, like, what everything is fine now. Like what? And we would try to explain what's happening right now. We would try to explain to him
how it related. We would do that now, but even in the past, we were still explaining that stuff. And
so it would have been a great education right now, as it's happening right before his eyes, for us as two African American men to explain it to him. Like, now do you understand what we were trying to say a year ago? You know what I mean? Like, you see all this stuff coming down and what it means. And now do you understand why the world is protesting? saying like our lives matter anyway.
And I know his defense has always been he doesn't see color. And I'm sorry, nope, not that. I know his defense has always been he's not a racist type of person, and that like he'll defend because he's. Anyway, I don't want to go too much.
Yeah, we don't got to go too deep into it.
But just that. It would be nice to have discussions with someone now who and see if they're open. Because now, if they actually are not open towards a discussion of it, I'm not going to bring it up. But if something's said, then I'm going to discuss it.
Right.
Because I was with some other friends, and a discussion was brought up, and I was like, okay, time to get me on my edge on my seat and just talk about it and give them my facts. But it was interesting. So
yeah, and I just want to say I have no problem with our friend, and I'm not trying to throw shade. And if you listen to this episode, would love to still get together with you, grab a glass of wine, but now would be a great time for conversation and education. What we were trying to explain before. That's all. That's all I want to say about that. Because I can't help but think about that all this stuff is going on. And I'll just say
that it would be nice to talk, but at the same time, it doesn't need to necessarily, because it's not like I know he never doesn't have ill thoughts towards a group or anything like that. So yeah, it would just be nice to get together.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, because there was a lot of misunderstanding on his behalf. So it's great when people can get some understanding. You know what I mean? But just like they say, man, we're not free until everybody's free. Yeah. And a great example of that is what happened with the protest. For Father's Day, I hung out with my daughter and my girl in LA, and it was great to go down there and see the aftermath of all the protests, because this is a time in history. This time right now will be marked in history. You know what I mean? What happened worldwide. And to go down there and see what happened after, for myself, see the Black Lives painted in Hollywood and, and see all the murals and the fists. It was, after seeing it, because we live all the way in wine country. Yeah. So seeing it on the news for all those weeks and then going there Sunday for Father's Day and putting eyes on it was interesting, and just feeling the vibe and the energy of the town. Because I grew, I spent 20 plus years in LA, so it was just interesting, just feeling the vibe of the city. And, that's what I do. I'm in the entertainment industry, and, I've partied on those blocks and streets for years. Yeah. So it was crazy just to go back and just witness this change. And you actually could feel it. And I didn't post a video, but I actually took a video of, this area of Sunset Boulevard where my daughter was born, like right around the corner. Okay. And I took video of the street and how everything was boarded up and how quiet and different it was and it felt. And you being in LA and stuff and witnessing that, like, it really felt like change. It was interesting. Okay. You know what I mean?
And on top of the history of what that's going, the coronavirus is playing not so much directly into it, but it is interesting how we got the mask on. A lot of places you'll go and people are just kind of quiet because the masks are on your face, so it's not much talking as it would be in the past. So walking around the streets, you're unless it's traffic noise, it's just a little calmer. Yeah, but it's eerie sometimes.
Yeah. And if it wasn't for Corona, someone was saying, think about how many more people would have been involved.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? In the restaurant we ended up eating at downtown, a really cool place that had some healthy options and stuff. And that restaurant was one of the places that had windows broken in, and they still had all the plexi board up and the plywood up covering the windows up. And he, the waiter, he told me, he said, man, he said, I actually went to protest as well. Yeah. And they weren't even really upset about the restaurant being damaged, which was interesting. And one of the things he was saying was that, in the daytime when they were at work, or in the evening, you would see like the peaceful protesters. And he said when curfew would pass, everything would just kind of change and get strange.
Okay.
And these other people
Groups
would come out. The
Yeah.
looters and he said that's what he said he witnesses with his own eyes. You know what I mean? He said that's when the looters would come out and it got real strange. He said the peaceful protesters that were going through downtown, they would leave at curfew.
Yeah.
But it's the renegades that would actually stay and was causing all the looting and stuff like that. So like I said, it was great to get down there, man. And of course, that was the second day, which was Monday. I went back to get some work done on my company chain and stuff like that. So it's interesting to like I said, to just see it and touch it and talk to some folks, and you know what I mean.
And I think that's probably the same experience most people are getting all over in the other cities that may have been hurt. You know, just had some destruction happen. You know, people go back around and then they're just like, yeah. Or they probably have the similar stories where, and I was also reading today how it's interesting how the coverage of protesting has kind of gotten down.
Yeah.
And obviously the rioting and the looting has pretty much stopped.
Right.
But, you know, the media unfortunately focused so much on that. And I mean, it became an issue, but obviously whenever these protests happen, a group of, you know, a real smart minority group takes advantage.
Right.
Does
it wasn't
destruction.
Even the peaceful protesters.
Yeah. And sometimes as we saw, you know, it's other people instigating who wants to make this a bigger issue. And
whole nother group. Wasn't even the peaceful
or even
protesters.
Police.
Which I thought was interesting. What else is going on in the news?
There was another police shooting in California. I don't know if you heard about the young 18-year-old Latino.
Oh yeah,
guy.
I saw that, and I also want to touch on the hangings too in Palmdale and Victorville.
Do you want to stick with those then? Because I mean, I feel bad, and that's where obviously Black Lives Matter makes sound like we're only talking about Black lives, but if we're equal, then that means everyone's equal. So whatever changes that is a positive for within the Black community, it's going to be a positive for any other minority in this country. And that's where everyone should be, you know, hey, you can be out there and you can hold, a sign that says something, but a lot of times Asians, anyway, just joining together, we all speak as one majority, and we get the things like police brutality, which affects not just Black. So, you know, no one should have their
that wasn't cool. But didn't he
on their
but the teenager in
so he's
the
a security
18-year-old,
guard.
right? But didn't he
started running when the police
I thought
came
he bought a gun
up.
or something too, and all that, and started
See,
firing.
now that
or
I
something.
didn't. I heard he started running, but
No, it was a gun involved. I saw the news brief.
Okay.
And they were pretty much saying that it was justified. You could look it up when you get a chance, but I think he pulled out a gun and.
But don't they always try to justify everything? Not that it's not one. But,
not
even George Floyd. I mean, they try to justify it in the fact that he had some stuff in him. And
but in this case, I think the guy pulled a weapon and and he got into some fire, back and forth shooting with. I could be wrong, but that's the news brief that I thought that I saw.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I could be wrong, but I mean, either way.
I guess the problem, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, is just to say that the thing I heard is after the shooting, they went through and this is where I really do have to verify. So if I'm not speaking the truth on this, I apologize, but I will just, more checking and I'll apologize. I'll clean it up next week. But I thought the police destroyed all the cameras in the
I don't know. Yeah,
so that's true. That makes it kind of very skeptical, But go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that, and we probably can look it up. Do you remember what city it was in?
I was about to, but in the meantime, all the hangings are very interesting.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
They consider them suicides.
What I want to ask your opinion on that. Do you think it's suicide or?
I'm sorry, I don't know too many. I mean, I haven't looked up hangings and stuff like that, but not too many people are really going to be. Actually, okay, I don't know a lot of people. the statistics of how people are killing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was a young, child, I had a good family friend to my parents. He killed himself by in the garage, car running.
Mm-hmm,
Now that is something I would, or just I just don't see Black people killing themselves with hangings because
why would they do that? I agree.
So that's just a very, and because of nooses are being found in different places. I know there was a discussion in a park, and it was used for working out. And I finally did see what they look like, and they look like nooses, but they look kind of small. So it felt like either, like, I'm sure the guy who spoke up, who is of African descent, I'm not sure if what he would be claiming exactly. I mean, he definitely looks like, even his clothing was a little tribal in pattern, but and his name was not just Christopher Smith.
yeah.
But he may have changed his name for all I know. So
I don't think they killed themselves either.
Correct.
That's all for me to believe, man. And we haven't heard anything else about it and what's going on, and we haven't heard if they're investigating.
I thought the FBI was investigating.
Yeah, I think so,
but I'm not positive.
But I hope they keep us abreast on what's going on with those cases, because that ain't cool at all. So it says here that the kid had a gun, going back to the 18-year-old kid. Yeah. Said that he produced a firearm. The suspect looked toward the deputies and produced a firearm, then proceeded to run southbound between two businesses, which is kind of interesting. It's unclear what he was suspected of. I mean, I knew he had a firearm. It wasn't like a taser or,
But if he's working as a security guard, I mean,
he should have one. But why did he run down the end of the alley? I'm not saying he should get killed because he ran. I'm just trying to figure out exactly what happened.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yep. Where he loaded on my handgun was recovered, authorities said.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Question would be, what would video show? And if they destroyed evidence, that
exactly, which we know that they always do.
Yeah. So
and it's funny, if we could touch on what is it, Rayshard? What's his name? I know his funeral was today, the one that got killed in Atlanta.
Brooks.
Yeah, in the drive-through Wendy's. I was listening to what's our South African brother's name? Trevor Noah.
Oh yeah.
And he made such a good point, man. He said there's always an excuse. Why does the excuse always change? He said, he shouldn't have resisted. She shouldn't have been laying in her bed. He shouldn't have been standing in the park. Talking about all the people that got killed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, Rayshard shouldn't have ran. And Trevor was saying, why won't people just get right to it and say, no, he just shouldn't have been Black.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because if anyone else was in those situations, they would still be alive. And another thing I want to touch on too for our audience as well, because a lot of times you don't look at all sides of things. And, Trevor made a really good point. He said before Rayshard got to the point to where he got scared and ran, why, when it was, okay, if the police are here to actually protect and serve, first of all, he wasn't driving. He was sleeping in the drive-thru, right? They asked him to move his car. If the police are really here for us, we pay their salaries. They're supposed to be here to protect and serve. Why didn't they say, you know what, Rayshard, leave your car here. We're going to give you a ride home. When he said, man, my sister lives right here, I can just walk home and leave my car. Why didn't they say, you know what, man, we're going to escort you home? You know what I mean? If the police are really here to protect and serve, why is it always?
I mean, I get what your big point is. He realized if he was drinking and he realized, oh my God, I shouldn't be driving, and he pulled over. And unfortunately, in the drive-through lane. But was there cars behind him, or?
But the cars were going around and stuff.
Okay,
it's not like he was.
So he pulled over. He fell asleep.
He pulled it off.
And his intent was not to be continued drinking and driving.
They were having a civil conversation.
Yeah.
The cops could have easily said, hey man, you live up the street. How about we give you a ride and drop you off? Leave your car here.
Yeah.
They could have easily said that.
Yeah, but
because if you look at the conversation, it was civil before the fight started.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why Trevor was like, why didn't they just say that? If they were supposed to protect and serve, why was it let's arrest them, beat them down?
Okay, so I mean, I'm not agreeing with beating them down, but I mean, if he didn't pass the sobriety test and they went through all that, I believe they usually, if he's below, they're not just going to be like, yeah, I understand that. That's
right. But I'm saying,
and I've heard different stories where they do some nice things.
Oh yeah, they do some nice things. They can do whatever they want.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing.
You know what I'm saying? They didn't catch him driving, just like Trevor said.
But yeah, but the fact when your car and your keys and you're in the front seat and your keys
I don't know
are right
if it was
there,
running or not.
I mean, even if they're not, and you are in your car with your keys in the driver's seat, and an officer comes to you and smells alcohol and then puts you through the whole thing, and it's the potential that you could have been driving. It's right. It's a mess. I mean, it
depends on the state too. That's not a law in every state, by the way.
Okay. I mean, I don't know.
It depends and I don't know the law in Atlanta either. But I do know.
I mean, I agree that they could have done something different.
Oh, yeah. It didn't have to go that way.
They could have even said, like, shoot, let me call your.
Why is it always about taking us down? Why couldn't they say, all right, man, we'll give you a warning. We're going to tow the car, but we're going to give you a ride to your sister's.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been any other option than, oh, we're going to lock you up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What I guess Trevor's point is, and I didn't say it, I'm just repeating what Trevor said. It made me think about it. Mm-hmm. I guess Trevor's point is, why is it that sometimes they can't just cut a break?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, I mean, the things I totally understand what you're saying. But the other thing I also saw was, obviously, he wasn't going to be, maybe he could have ran home, I guess. But he was, like most people said, he was drunk. So he was just going to run around. His mind wasn't right. That he didn't deserve to just die because, yes, he got a taser. But they knew he had his taser in his hand.
Right.
What did they
knew he didn't have a gun.
And they already did the search.
They already checked him.
So it's not like
taser can't even go off twice, so they knew it wasn't deadly. They knew that he couldn't discharge the taser again to try to, knock them out to get a weapon. So they knew all that.
Yeah. And then on the end, for it being such a fairly pleasant stop and interaction, to kick him after they shot him.
That's what I'm saying.
Like that, again, that's why
it's personal. Oof. Saying I got him.
Yeah.
And all that. That's what I'm saying. And I guess that's the point. The whole mindset is, let's get these people.
Yeah.
Instead of let's help these people.
Yep.
Which is
now that I definitely 100%.
That was Trevor's point. Like, he could have easily handled it a different way.
And that's the difference between cops and good cops, and and I don't know this, but I thought there were some things that said about his about the cop.
But
the interaction was complaints. Looked pretty chill.
It was civil.
Yes, but again,
then all of a sudden it went bad.
It would be, it'd be nice to have that one time where something was done just
right.
Anyway,
correctly, and and like, I'm gonna give you a perfect example. The night when you were stopped, they cut you a break. I've been stopped and been cut a break.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing. There's times, you do get.
And I was actually driving.
Yeah.
Now imagine if I had one of these cops stop me and my friend. I would probably be dead. You know what I mean?
I mean, like you would say, you would assume that the fact that you weren't going to run, that
I wouldn't have run either. But we know cases that they didn't run, they still got shot.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, if I had an asshole cop when I was stopped, when I was drunk, just imagine what could have happened.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So the same way we would cut a break.
Why didn't he get the break?
It's the same way Trevor Noah is saying, this guy could have just cut the guy a break.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. You know what, man? I'll take you home.
Yeah.
You seem like you're having a civil conversation. I know you blew. Technically you weren't driving. George Floyd just got killed. Let's try and create some peace. Let me like give you a ride home.
On that note, yeah, I 100% agree.
If you just look at the climate of the situation,
what's going on, like, man,
it would have been nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But because of the deep-seated hatred towards us as a people, he had to cut him down and say, I got him, and kick him after.
Correct.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. No, I get it. Only other part I see out of it is if he wasn't killed, he would have gone through the whole process, learned how, getting the drinking while driving, the lesson out of that. Yeah. But unfortunately, there's no lesson to be learned because the guy's dead.
Right.
But, yeah, I agree. There's times people or officers are nice.
They are. Yeah, all cops are bad cops.
Never saying
generally, speaking, cops are fairly cool.
Yep. And even if I've seen, like a cop initially gets a little attitude, and that's where it's like, okay, why are you asking questions? Like, explain something. Don't just say, I need, IDs of everyone in the car. What? No, you don't. Why?
Right.
What is the... It's not like people are trying to hide, but
right.
If they don't need to be put in a report, why what's the thing? What's the reason for it?
Right.
So if you explain the reason, then people can go, oh, okay, I understand your statement. May not like it, but at least I understand it. So anyway, I'm just kind of going on some other stuff.
No, I got you. No, man, that's why it's a podcast.
Yeah.
We can talk about it and create conversations for others too. Trying to think, was it something else before we start talking about the coronavirus? So I definitely want to touch on that.
Write it
especially
down.
Because it all. No, I didn't write anything down for this show. I just went. I wanted to wing it because a lot of the stuff was on my mind too. But we can definitely move on to corona.
Well, you
First
said
thing,
the renaming of the school. The guy who went off on what's her name? What, Connie?
Yeah, I forgot her name. Yeah,
he had her leave the room on that one.
I definitely want to touch on how Amy Klobuchar, dropped out of contention for vice president because she feels as if Joe Biden should pick an African American female running mate. I thought that was honorable, and I think she wants to be on the right side of history.
Yeah, and
she is a Democrat, and I think she knows, like we all know, that if Joe doesn't do that, he's not going to win this year. So that was smart for her to be like, you know what, guys, take my name out of it. Start looking this way. We need to win this year.
And then I heard,
I don't
know, I think she's a Senator Bass. They said that she's being vetted. So
yeah, is that the one from Atlanta? Or no?
Oof.
I could be wrong. I get the names mixed up.
Yeah,
many.
Well, it's not like there's that many African Americans in Congress that we should know some, but
because they were talking about
the name,
Abrams,
but I just don't
Kamala. They were talking about Abrams, Harris. I think the Bass lady too, and it's another one too.
I think
it's another one too. We can look it up. That's why we have our computers here for everybody that's watching on YouTube right now. Yeah.
Karen Bass.
Oh yeah, Karen Bass. Where's she from?
And she's part of the House of Representatives.
Right, but you know what city?
Checking right now.
Oh, Cali, that's right. Yeah.
She's here out here?
Cali.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Biden campaign vetting. Yeah. I mean, they have to vet quite a few to make sure nothing can come up. You know?
Yeah.
they gotta vet a few.
And they're supposed to vet presidents too before,
Absolutely. Yeah, but she would be a good pick as well.
I think that's I know who she is and everything, but it's also kind of interesting because she's still also kind of low key. Like, why not have?
Why didn't they go Kamala Harris or Stacey Abrams?
Or let's hear that. I mean, we hear the name jostled around, but I haven't heard that Kamala's being vetted. I'm assuming that a lot of people already.
I think they were saying she wants to be
vetted.
the Attorney General or something, or
that'd be cool.
Secretary of State, something like that. Yeah,
I mean, I think that's a good role.
I think that'd be great too. Yeah, because of her legal background,
and there's no reason why she can't try to run later on either.
Right. One of the things I do want to touch on before we go is the COVID stuff.
Oh yeah.
Here in town, it kind of hit close to home. Me and my girl was rolling by 1909. We went by twice, and the line was too long and didn't even step out of the car to check. And I'm glad we didn't, because you did. We actually rolled by another time, and I remember going like, why is it closed? And I could tell that it was shut down. And then of course I find out a couple of days ago it was because 20 people caught COVID.
Now
7
20?
employees.
I thought it was 13.
No, it was 7 employees and 13 customers. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And what was interesting, one of the trainings at the gym I go to, she said, Imani, and they were so strict. She said they were one of the first
ones.
Yeah, doing the social distancing inside, but she said they didn't do it in the line outside. And they didn't, because when I walked by, we saw everybody just standing right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, who knows?
I mean, so the time I went, I stood outside with my mask on, and I kept trying to keep my distance. But then when you're inside, you did have a nice amount of distance between
That's what people. I heard.
So it was, yeah. But you're right. If you were standing outside and you weren't wearing a mask, well then,
right? Yeah. Oh, no one was wearing one when me and Lisa rolled by. On all of it, So,
and again, I'm also tripping on what was that the other bar that has, it's just back crowd. There's no social
pub and grub.
Yeah.
That's what Tim was saying. That was crazy, man. So yeah, we did predict on some of the earlier shows while we were doing it on quarantine through Zoom that this would happen, and it's definitely happened. The cases are spiking like crazy. I mean, one thing that we obviously knew that more cases or people were going to be were going to show positive, and obviously more testing would bring out more positive cases. However, if people are getting tested because they feel something, then that means that this is still moving around. Which kind of goes again with what we did say is if these states and counties and cities don't do things properly, it's just going to go back up. Again, when I went to San Francisco, I was amazed. I want to say higher, but 90% of people wore masks, even walking down the street. Right.
They were pretty strict, and you couldn't get in the restaurants at the time, so you were stopped at the door. I'm sorry, you couldn't get into any business, or if you did, you went in, you ordered, and you went right back outside. Like you were not congregating inside their place. But it's just interesting how different locations, how they've been handling and dealing with things. Right. And yeah, I know that Vegas opened.
Yep, I saw the commercials for Wynn and this and that.
I heard that actually I seen the commercial that said, showed everything and it goes, we're open, which is cool. But I read an article that said randomly some company went to 375 people, and because they were wearing a mask, walking around or while gambling, just gave them $20. So I think that's actually a cool thing on reminding people, like, you can come here and you can enjoy yourself, but you need to still be social distancing. And in a casino, I don't know how you're social distancing with the way people gamble, and you find a machine, you want to find what's hot. So that's. But
the question I have for you is, if it spikes like crazy and everyone is getting it again, do we shut the country down again or no?
Okay.
Just let everybody get it and be asymptomatic. And
I say we should, but it's not going to happen.
Right.
Unless it truly floods the healthcare system where, or it hits enough of the people who complained about it opening, change their tune and go, we want it called, like we need vaccine or something like that. So it's enough, more people need to be hit by, because the thing that I've noticed is so many people say to me, like, do you know anyone who's have it? I don't know anyone who's had it.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, I know 2 people. I know a good friend from high school, and through my cousin, his family friend or family member on his wife's side, a gentleman passed away. So yeah, I do know, and I've also, and just seen other postings from friends and good friends on Facebook that have family members who passed away. So yeah, I do.
Yeah.
But people, just because it's still so not touching them.
Right. Yeah, it's like out of sight, out of mind. They believe it, but they don't take it as serious.
Kind of like racism.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
You know, it's almost an invisible thing that you can't relate unless it actually happens to you. So people who don't necessarily feel racism don't think it's a problem. Anyone who doesn't have someone who's getting COVID doesn't think it's a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I agree, man. I agree. You know, I was messaging my daughter. She's at the mall, making sure she's okay. Yeah, I mean,
she got her mask on.
Yeah, they have masks and stuff. I mean, let's see how it goes. You know, I'm casting for this film in Louisiana.
The malls are open? I'm sorry.
The mall is open.
Okay, that's cool. Interesting.
And so I'm flying to Louisiana in a couple of weeks to scout locations and have a couple of production meetings with the producers and stuff like that.
So we won't be shooting for a while.
So in 2 weeks, not next weekend, but the following weekend.
Okay.
I'll be gone for like 4 days. But I was talking to one of the actresses that's up for one of the lead roles today. She just came back from Texas and she flew back here to LA, and I was asking her, she just landed today. I said, so what's it like flying? She said, yeah, it's fine. You take your wipes, wipe everything down. They make you wear a mask. The seat next to me was empty. You know, it's funny. Today I chose all my seats for all the flights, and I noticed how it had an X, like this seat isn't available. So I see how they're having it spaced out and they're selling the tickets like that, which is interesting, you know.
And I think they'll also, if they have to, they may change some seats, but and this, from again, my girlfriend, she works for Alaska, so she when we flew to San Francisco. Yeah, the airports, it's eerie. Yeah, this will be the first time you're flying, going. It's if things don't change in a couple of weeks, which I doubt, it's still going to be that weird, just empty.
Yeah, she told me it was like normal almost today.
Oh, it was?
When she came in LAX, Yep.
Yeah, are you leaving out LAX?
Yeah, she said it's back to normal.
Okay, I left out.
She said it was. She said it looks like almost back to normal. Because now people are allowed to fly again. They've figured out how to do it on the airplanes and stuff like that. But when my friend had his daughter go to Florida, they sent me photos and the LAX was literally empty, you know. But the actress I spoke with today said, no, it was normal. You know, it was almost normal in the airport.
San Diego must be just a little less people.
Probably.
Because the person who flew out here from San Diego, she said
it was empty. Yep. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
And, you know, and then some flights can have, again, the planes are not going to be full, but it'll not fill full, but they'll have a nice number. But then there'll be times it's only like 5 people, or there still are flights where there's nobody. But this is the interesting thing hearing from a flight attendant is how they put stuff in the cargo and how airlines make money by shipping cargo.
Yeah, they ship mail, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, man. I don't, if it does spike and get all out of hand, I personally don't think we should shut anything down. I mean, you get it, you don't. I honestly don't think it's worth shutting the economy back down when people start hurting again. And the homeless problem I saw in LA this weekend, it'll be triple, quadruple that if they shut everything down again. It's already bad.
I mean, okay, so when me saying that it should shut down is if they could come up with a plan that covered people in
they did that whole
way.
Different story.
Yeah, but the way that this went, and it needs to, like, there needs to be a higher point, or people need to show something to say, I may not need all of assistance, but I could use something.
Right. Yeah, I agree, man. If they can figure out a stimulus, which I heard I heard that they were trying to do another one or something like that.
Yeah.
But if they could figure it out, that's the only way a shutdown would actually work. And what also is about to happen before we sign off, I just saw on the news today, a lot of the other countries are starting to stop us from coming in or quarantining us for 14 days when we do come in. Yep, Americans. From the United States. Because they see that we haven't been and haven't handled it correctly.
Yep.
And of course, our whack president is, the number one guy to blame for that, if it not being handled correctly.
Okay, going back on Corona and just sticking with that, I actually read that he's thinking about ending the emergency declaration.
Mm-hmm.
So he's trying to make it seem like it's back to normal.
Right. Yeah.
So like you just said,
because he wants to get reelected. Yeah.
But anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy, and it's funny. Everybody that follows him are the ones that are not wearing a mask and don't believe it and think it's a conspiracy. I think that's interesting too.
Not all.
Last thing, no, not everybody, but
I mean,
a lot.
A lot.
Most of the people.
But what's also interesting
Trump supporters
is this is where it just boggles my mind how talking to another African American male and he's either telling me how 5G was part of it or it's some conspiracy, and I'm like, man, do you not understand?
Right.
You sound just like and I know he's but anyway, that's again, I feel like sometimes people just want to explain things, have an explanation when there is no explanation.
Exactly That's what's up, man. Well, I think we kind of aired it out. I know I had a few things to get off my chest. Everything we talked about. Like I said today, guys, today was just some current affairs, sharing our opinion on what we think about all this stuff.
And it's Dr. Brooks. I heard, was reading something. She told the governors to continue testing. So I hope governors are listening and the testing still being available. And also on a weird note, even though I've been out and about, and I've been, I wear my mask and, maybe working and whatever. I still feel healthy. You know what I mean? Like, that's the one positive thing that, I think in the past, I tend to cough a little bit more, or not sneeze. That's almost But
I think we all a little psychosomatic.
you don't want to cough right now, so it's like
and even if you're around people, man, if you sniffle, they look at you with one eye like, do you have it? Like it's like you can't.
Or
you know what I'm
sneezing.
saying? Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
I was talking to who was that? I was talking to. Oh, I was talking to one of the guys that own one of the biggest equipment houses in LA that we buy a lot of our equipment from as filmmakers, and he recently had the flu, and he was telling me how like everybody thought it was coronavirus, and he went to the doctor. It was just the flu. You know what I'm saying? He literally got tested, and it was the flu. And he said, "Man, Imani, you can't even get the flu anymore without."
And you said you got the what test?
The antibody test.
And you came out.
It was negative. And the reason why we did that instead of the COVID test is because if I was negative for COVID, we would have never known if I had it or not. But if I was positive for COVID, the antibody test would have said if I had it or not, even from that moment prior. You see what I'm saying?
But okay, I get it. But
you get it? Yeah. So if you go get an antibody test and it comes up negative, that means you've never had it and you currently don't have it.
Got it.
But had you just got the COVID test and it come up negative, you'd have never known if you were ever asymptomatic, if you were ever anything.
So if you get tested and you come up positive, I mean that's what you actively do have it and everything. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Then you're gonna have the antibodies anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why we did the antibody test, because it would have told you in the moment, or if you've ever had it since it's been around. And it came up negative, and I hope it stays that way. And if I do happen to get it by mistake, knock on wood, hopefully I'm healthy enough to see it through.
And don't give it to me.
Exactly. Don't give it to me.
You did give me the option.
Yeah, since they remandated the mask, I wanted to know if you wanted to.
I'm good. I mean,
because now
the mandate is, it's even though it's a mandate, no one still understands what you should and shouldn't do.
Yeah, because now when I went to the store just now, everyone had masks on again.
I gotta say, if I go to a grocery store, I still would be wearing masks, but I think I'm gonna go back to the whole wear a mask
no matter what. Yeah. I'm not gonna wear it outside, but definitely inside I'm gonna wear it.
But if I'm with a group of people and there's some people I really don't know,
I
might throw that mask on.
Yep, throw it on, brother. Yeah. Throw it on. Anyway, guys, that's our show. Unless Smith has something that he needs to say. No. But sure, we're almost an hour in.
Just if you're protesting, keep it going. Black Lives Matter. The thing that is going on needs to the reforms that are being brought up needs to be discussed and figured out. Just and the myth of defunding. It's not like the people want to really defund police, not trying to get rid of them. It's a matter of police need to be policing.
Yeah.
Need to be handling certain situations, but there should be a group of social workers or mental health experts that maybe at some calls, if there's a call, someone's not right, maybe a person like that needs to come to the situation and assess if they need to take over, or they're more of an expert where they actually do go to school. Because I mean, as far as I know, being most cops can only have to go to be a high school degree. So getting someone who goes into law enforcement or wants to be a social worker or mental health expert of some sort, or therapist, if they choose to want to carry the gun, they go through that, but they also have the schooling in order to work with certain situations. That would be nice. I mean, and just to kind of add to that, I know that if you take a test within the military and you test really well, they really do the recruiting trying to get you in. So my point is they should almost push out or put a word out, like trying to create a whole different, almost a different field of a police officer. There's, those who are strictly investigating some cases of crime. And then there's others who work with, because they're going to come across people with mental health issues. Right. Or just being able to control a situation. So yeah. So don't have to be physical all the time.
Exactly. Yeah, and they did outlaw some of those things. Yeah. All right, guys. Yeah. So don't forget to subscribe on ISENT Group Digital. Keep listening where you get your podcast. We appreciate it. It's HPR Chronicles with Shakur Smith, and we will see you guys next Wednesday, where we're going to talk about, and I'm going to say it now. Smith doesn't even know this now, but I'd like to talk about, if he agrees, how slavery dismembered the relationship between African American men and women.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
That's what I'd like to talk about. I guess I would about
African men and women, or just the
relationships between African American men and women, how slavery dismembered that. Yeah. So that would be interesting, anyway, guys, thanks for checking in, and we will see you guys next Wednesday. Keep your mask on, and let's get back to normal. Let's get it out of here. End it. And no matter what conspiracy you believe in, the fact of the matter is the virus is here, whether it killed one person or 100,000. So I want to say that too.
And we all are. Go ahead.
Yeah. Don't forget to follow us on social media, guys.
Yes.
And everything's in the description. Again, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.